This is the Water Quality Association podcast, promoting better water quality around the world. And I'm your host, Wes Bleed.
One of the units that we sell has an automatic shut-off on it, so it shuts off and then people would call you for changes. But otherwise, we put them on a program and we put that into the computer and reminders, and then call them up or send them an email or text to say, Wes, it's time for your annual RO filter change.
That's Joe Huemann, owner of Huemann Water Conditioning in Johnsburg, Illinois, talking about the value of recurring revenue. And welcome to the Water Quality Association podcast from WQA, the leading voice of the residential, commercial, and industrial water treatment community. Find us at WQA.org. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome. We're glad you're here. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you never miss a show. That's the magic of podcasting, of course. And be sure to share the podcast with someone you know. Just forward a link. We are also featuring our podcasts on YouTube now. And we want to remind you to go to youtube.com/@waterqualityassociation videos so that you can both see as well as hear our guests. In this episode, we feature part 2 of our look at growing your water treatment business through recurring revenue. In part 1, we talked with Mike McGowan in Mankato, Minnesota. In this podcast, we're joined by Joe Huemann, longtime member of WQA. Joe explains his revenue breakdown, how he develops consistent revenue month after month, and how one idea for a unique weekend revenue generator came from his networking at a WQA event many years ago. Plus, we'll have our WQA tip. It's all coming up on the Water Quality Association podcast. We're pleased that Joe Huemann has joined us for this portion of the podcast. Joe is a longtime water treatment dealer in Johnsburg, Illinois, Huemann Water Conditioning up near Wisconsin. And he's a second-generation water treatment business owner, past WQA board member, and past Lifetime Membership Award winner from the Water Quality Association. So, Joe, always great to have you on the show. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Wes.
This is another of our programs on recurring revenue, and we wanted to generate some ideas and get some inspiration for what members can do and look for when it comes to generating just multiple streams of income, not just one particular kind of income that might come from their water treatment business. And so, to the extent that you've been around the block a few times, we thought it would be great to catch up with you and get your thoughts on that. So why don't you just set us up by how you run your business? How is it structured? What do you do? What services and products do you offer?
Well, you look at water conditioning, water treatment, and we look at sales, service, rentals, salt delivery or chemicals, drinking water, mainly reverse osmosis, filter changes, and plumbing. So I guess you'd say that would be, if I itemize my revenue sources right there. Sales, service, rentals, salt, chemicals, RO drinking water, filters, and plumbing.
And how did you arrive at all of that mix of offerings?
Well, my dad started the business in 1963. He was a well driller, and he was at that time branching off, and my grandfather and great uncle, they said, told my dad, Tom, we find water and no one's ever going to buy bottled water. And, people use water to flush the toilets and wash dishes. And that's what we're going to do. And my dad was like, well, there's this thing called water conditioning. And back, in the early 60s, automatic water softeners were coming out. Before in the 50s, you look at that. And before that, you had the exchange tanks. But now they were looking at these fully automatic things. And 1963, the Bruner Corporation out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, sent my dad. My dad sent them a letter, and they said, we'd like to send you a fully automatic unit to try. So That was one of those things, fully automatic. And um, so our business was structured to go with, we never did the exchange tanks, but exchange tanks were more like a reoccurring, a rental. And I know my dad, when he started, we went selling and servicing and renting water softeners, and um, just to get money, to bring salt, like the old milkman, we would deliver salt at the time. And so that was sales, service, rentals, and salt. I mean, and fix things. So that's how we started. And I guess you'd say it evolved. Once again, salt, chemicals. When I say chemicals, you look at, we do sell a little liquid chlorine or hydrogen peroxide. We've done, a lot of people use the hydrogen peroxide. That's been positive. And then once again, you look at reverse osmosis. That came about in the mid 1970s, 75, 76, 77. This thing came out. We were Nimbus. That was a big thing with the Slovak boys, the brothers. I learned a lot, cut my teeth with those guys. And we did reverse osmosis in drinking water. So that's kind of where that went.
And have you been able to vary that at all, or experiment with other kinds of ideas and ways that you can generate additional revenue over the course of time?
Well, you and I talked off camera before this, and you mentioned about our Salt Sale Saturday. Okay. And it's interesting. We've been doing that for 40 years.
Yeah, why don't you explain that?
Yeah, I mean, you look at, what happened was, you look at back, we would sell salt at our shop, but we'd have the part-time office workers that would just work on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, our office was closed because my mom and the neighbor lady would do the books, and they would just come in on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So, we used to, I mean, I look at it as of 1985, we still had, the back door was open with a cash box, make your own, pick your own salt up and make your own change. I mean, but my dad in the 1970, probably 1977, he said, the first Saturday of the month, we're going to, people can come and get salt. We're going to be there at that time, it was 8 to 4:30. We've changed that from 7 till 2. But so we go 7 in the morning till 2, and we sell salt, and we have a drive-through, and we get between 500 to 600 cars in that time, and people just know to go to Huemann's, get their salt on the first Saturday, and I have lanes like a drive-through, like at a bank, and we sell a lot of salt on that day.
So the cars line up, they come through, pop their trunk, and however many bags they want are loaded into their trunk.
We give a discounted price, and then we also have a quantity discount. You buy 10, get 1 free. So we are generally about $1 cheaper than what you're going to buy it for at any grocery store or big box store. I mean, that's a general rule. Is our price? Our price is pretty. We don't change our price month to month. We try so we give a good price. And then we also, it's only cash and carry, no credit card. So there's no processing fees. It's cash and carry. We do take checks. We don't get checks that bounce. Our customers, I mean, they're very, I mean, that's another thing you look at. But we give a good price on salt, and people just pop their trunk and say, give me 10 bags, 10 plus 1. We have solar, pellet, rust salt, and we just load the cars with salt.
How has that affected your regular salt delivery, Joe?
It has not hurt it. Has not hurt it at all. And some people say, "Well, can I get this delivered?" And then it has not hurt it. It has complemented it. So nothing at all along those lines. But it's just a matter of the salt sale is just the first Saturday of the month.
And as far as you know, you're getting people who might be buying salt for a water conditioner or water softener that you didn't install, right? I mean, they aren't necessarily a past customer.
A lot of them, are not our units. So hopefully you can make an impression on them, and if they need service work or dealing with that. but it is a form of advertising. Okay. It's amazing how, oh, I heard about you guys do your salt sale, and you know the people that are the first time buyer people because they try to pay with their credit card. It says cash and carry or check only, but you look at it as a form of advertising that people talk about. Hey, go to Huemann's, and if they're buying the salt, when it comes time for a new unit, we'd like to try to be there for them on that also.
Speaking of advertising, how do they find out about the Saturday salt deals?
Word of mouth is probably the biggest thing. You look at people, put it on your neighborhood network, say who's salt. We advertise on the radio. And once again, you look at our current customers, the Wednesday before the first Saturday, we do an email blast. And so once again, you get permission to, people sign up for that, because people would say, "Oh, Joe, I forget about it. I forget about the salt sale." Wes, just give me your email, and I tell them we only do it once a month. We don't want to give you all that other BS. We say it's just a salt sale reminder. We do that, and then we also have a text reminder once a month. So people would sign up, and because we get busy and you forget, is this the first Saturday or the second Saturday, or what it is. But so we do a text, an email, we do radio, and that's about it on our advertising for that. Do a lot of reoccurring income of when we put an RO in, we do filter changes. That's reoccurring, and set them up and say, okay, is it once a year or 18 months? So we come up with that magical number of how often do we change the filters. One of the units that we sell has an automatic shut off on it, so it shuts off, and then people would call you for changes. But otherwise, we put them on a program, and we put that into the computer, and reminders, and then call them up or send them an email or text to say, Wes, it's time for your annual RO filter change.
So are you offering any additional plumbing services, or just plumbing related to water treatment?
Well, that's interesting. Along those lines, you asked that question. There's a yes and no answer to that. Some people, it's kind of like, are you pregnant or aren't you pregnant? Are you doing plumbing or aren't you doing plumbing? We do a lot of work with plumbers. I don't want to take their work, but I know they take some of our work as a water treatment professional on different things. So to answer your question is, I do not advertise for plumbing work, but existing customers will call us, and we pick and choose that, not cherry pick it, but we with my 12 plumbers that are at our shop, we have to do 4 hours of continuing education every year. And that, to go to a class, costs about $100 a person for that day of that class. And for the last 4 years, I have put the class on at my shop, and I have invited local plumbers to my shop to get their continuing education. And I buy them pizza. We have dinner. We do it from 3 o'clock until 7. I buy pizza, and we get between 45 to 60 plumbers at my shop that are not my employees, and we put the class on, and my guys go for free because I'm putting it on. They still pay, but I have a third party guy come in and do the class, and I bring him in, so he does my guys for free, and then we buy dinner for all the plumbers. We do pizza, and that's a good form of advertising. You look at, and so that I have a relationship with a lot of the plumbers that I don't want to take their work, but I make sure that they know that if they need water conditioning work, they call me and say, "Hey, Joe, I'm their water treatment guy." I believe in WQA certification, so that's probably one of the things I look at. It gives my guys a feather in their hat. And oftentimes other people say, well, Joe, if you educate them, they're going to go in competition with you, or they're going to go to someone else. Your competition is going to steal them and take them. And my philosophy is I'd rather have an educated employee that leaves than a dumb one that stays.
Hmm.
If that's the way I want to put it. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
and if you invest in them, they're going to stay.
We're coming up on the Mid-Year Leadership Conference in September, and I'd love to get your thoughts on the value of the Mid-Year Leadership Conference and how you can see that as an addition to what you do in terms of getting up to speed, networking, all of those kinds of things.
You get to, I look at going to those meetings, and that's where the salt sale idea came from at our shop. Salt Sale Saturday came from a fellow water conditioner dealer, and he shared that with my dad, and we implemented it. And you talk about those kind of things. So, but you look at being involved with WQA is been very positive.
Fantastic. That's great to hear. And then, Joe, last question would be kind of along the lines of where you see the industry going, how you see water treatment in general progressing, and maybe, by 2030, what does the water treatment business look like? Any big changes, or do you think things will continue as they have been?
That's a really interesting question, because sometimes you don't like to see. I mean, you look at being a dealer. Okay, I will have to say the influx. I guess I look at we've always had the do-it-yourself market. Okay, I look at the mergers and acquisitions of our manufacturers. Okay, or our wholesalers, or that kind of thing, and the dealer network. That's very interesting, having a place. We're always going to have people that are going to say, hey, I'm going to go here. I'm going to buy my water softener from a local dealer. You look at the car dealership and buying a car online, okay? This Carvana thing, or ordering a car, and it ships, they deliver it right to your house. And so you look at the dealership. I will have to say, since COVID, the selling water softeners has changed immensely. I think it's easier. I think it's better. I think people are not as many calls at 9:30 at night or 8:30 at night. More people are available during the day hours. Okay, some form of most people are available. So you're not doing as many. Most customers that I see, they don't want to give up their Saturdays to do a sales call. I mean, I'd say, hey, Wes, when do we want to meet? I don't want to meet you on Saturday. I mean, some people will, but most of them will prefer, hey, I'd rather have you come between 3 and 5 o'clock. Evening sales calls have in our shop have dropped 98%. They don't want you after 7 o'clock.
So the fact that a lot of people are either working remotely or having a hybrid mix of at the office and at home, that's actually helped your business.
I think it has, and I think it's made the dealership or the salesman job. I think we have 3 salespeople, and I find that very rarely are our customers asking us to come out after 7 o'clock at night. I will have to say, where do you see it going? I don't like the idea of people buying them online. I don't like that. We see a lot of misapplications. And so we service a lot of things we sell. We fix things. Okay. A lot of water through the fingers, or going home with wet feet. Even today, I still go out and I get my feet wet, per se. And we see a lot of misapplication of people things. Oh, I bought this, and and once again, bigger's not always better. People buying something. You take 1 aspirin, you feel good. Take 2, are you going to feel better? And once again, I use that analogy of, hey, I can buy a this size water softener for X amount. I'm going to get a bigger one, because they think bigger's not always better, because they bought it online and they don't have the backwash rate to make it work, kind of a thing. So Those are some things that we see that I don't like in our industry, of people trying to do that kind of buying.
So are you saying, Joe, are you saying that you end up fixing problems that result from somebody having purchased something on their own?
Yes, that is a daily phone call where 15 years ago you had, maybe two of those a month, and we get one of those a day now. I mean, and you go out there and it's very hard to tell people, well, I know you just bought this thing, but it's not the right application. And you're the doctor telling them they're not feeling, you took the wrong medication and you spent the money. So it's very hard, the emotional part of that, consoling them. So that's a daily operation now when we see these things. So, and
Yeah.
some dealerships say if it didn't come out of my inventory, we don't fix it. Okay, and that is a philosophy sometimes to think about. But we try to take every phone call as a possible, get them into our fold.
Joe, let me just ask any final thoughts on recurring revenue if somebody's watching, listening to this.
I guess I look at recurring income. One of the things that you look at, if I don't care if it's you're a one-man shop or you have 20 employees or 100 employees, I call it mop it up, method of payment, mop it up, mop. And you look at collecting for the work you do. All right, and I tell you go out there and you say, get payment. How to do that. I don't push my sales guys. None of my sales guys are on commission, so we run a little bit different operation. You say what motivates your guys, but we have a very close. We communicate and make sure we don't like to upsell. We don't like to sell people. If you only need one wiper, we only put one wiper on the windshield. I mean, some people, if you're going to do, there are points where you got to. I don't like to upsell or sit down and say, "Hey, Wes, did you upsell anything out of that customer?" We want to make sure we treat people how we want to be treated and try to give them options. I mean, we want to give them options, but we like to try to keep things going and fix things. And other than that, I know one of the things that's big at our shop is, keeping everyone's morale, all your workers happy, and all that's kind of different stuff. And every Wednesday we do Positive Wednesday at our shop. Okay. And we have 26 people, and we get together on Wednesday morning at 8:00, and we just go around the room and everyone tells you what's good in their life outside of work, something good in your life. And it takes less than 12 minutes to go around the room, and people just get to, connect with their fellow employees of what's going on, good things in their life. So today's, I got my red shirt on today with my American flag. We have Red Shirt Friday at our shop, and that's for all of our troops, active troops, and our first responders. I was a volunteer fireman for 32 years, but we have two of our employees that did tours in Iraq, and so we started Red Shirt Friday for all them. And so different things that you can do. And some people that say, "Hey, Joe, why do you have flags on your shirts and your company colors aren't red? Why do you got red shirts?" And so those are different things that you look at. People like that, and it helps with recurring income.
Excellent, Joe. Thanks so much. We always enjoy catching up with you. We appreciate what you've done in and through the water treatment industry and your longtime service as well. So thank you very much.
Appreciate it, Wes. Always good talking with you there.
Our WQA tip, we have another round of instructor-led training classes coming up for anyone looking to earn their professional certification from WQA. It's a unique opportunity to learn from some of the best instructors in the industry. They can help lead you through the material and prepare you for the certification exam. Go to wqa.org/training. Thanks for joining us for this episode of the Water Quality Association podcast, bringing you the latest insights and news from the association, our members, and outside experts. to help you better serve your customer and grow your business. Learn more about water and water filtration at our consumer website, betterwatertoday.org, and learn more about professional certification, product certification, and how you can become a member of WQA at our website, WQA.org. Until next time, this is Wes Bleed. So long from the Water Quality Association.